OK， 我们下两个议题都是 GNOME 的讲者来讲的。第一个先 GNOME in Asia， 然后等一下是 GNOME Hosting GNOME is fun。所以呢，我们首先是 Emily， 再来等一下是 Pocky 要来讲。好，那我们掌声欢迎一下我们的 Emily。
Hello everyone. My talk will be in English because there are people from other countries. But if you can ask questions in Chinese, I will be talk with you in Chinese. And you are free to interpret anytime you want. If you have questions, free to raise your questions. You don't have to wait to the Q&A session. Okay, today I'm going to talk about GNOME.Asia. You know, this is the first time COSCUP co-host with GNOME.Asia, so we are very happy that there are lots of people from Taiwan joining this conference. Today I will going to talk about the history of the GNOME.Asia, and also my agenda will be also talk about Beijing GNOME Users Group and also our future plan. This photo, it was taken in 2007 in UK, Birmingham. This is GNOME. How many people know GNOME? Raise your hand. GNOME is GNOME Users and Developers European Conference. In 2007, when Kim asked me, we have the GNOME in Euro about 7 years, but we haven't have GNOME events in Asia. We never have. Do you have any plan to make it happen, a GNOME event in Asia? So I have these questions that when I come back to Asia, I ask the local people, do we have this plan? So here is a team. I think to organize an event, a team is very important, and all the people who are not necessarily located in Asia. Fred and Pocky, Fred just gave the presentation. And also Will from US, and Alfred in the left is from Singapore. So all the people, they are working together. We work on the IRC, on email, and Will, who is working with us 3 years, and we haven't met before. We haven't seen each other before. This is all our sponsors and all the community support. We also need artists. The artist, Dicky, who is designed the GNOME.Asia logo. Finally, we choose the bamboo logo because we think bamboo is Asian culture. Let's see. In 2008, the GNOME.Asia happened. The first year it happened. We can see some video of the 2008. It's very interesting. We really hope you to join us. This is a hate and love board in the conference. You can write your feedback to us directly. Okay, continue my slides. And then 1 year later, we have the GNOME.Asia 2009 in Vietnam, Ho-Chi-Minh City. I will give some quick review by the photos. There are some numbers, lots of participants, lots of sponsors, and lots of speakers. And I think we, the GNOME Foundation, GNOME.Asia board, we are trying to build a GNOME.Asian communities. So people from Taiwan or people from other country can attend the GNOME.Asia in the following years. As long as your talk is related to GNOME, you are free to apply for the travel subsidy from GNOME Foundation. Here is the company and accompanying community participants and support for the Vietnam events. This is a photo taken in the venue, and the interaction is very, there are lots of interactions. You know, Asian people tend to be very shy, especially people like me. But in Vietnam, people, you never imagine that people are so open. Maybe they are very hot in Vietnam. And also, all the translations are done by volunteers. And most of the volunteers are women. And we have lucky draw. I want to see that the people who is very lucky to get the first prize is actually a blind man. You know, GNOME is provide accessibility framework to people who have problems to use the computers. And this man got a laptop, and he can run GNOME on it. And he can use the GNOME as his desktop. So that's a very good example how GNOME is accessible to everyone. And the OLPC, and we have lots of fun. We usually we'll have a one tour day after the conference, and it's very good to exchange your ideas and talk with people. The idea of host GNOME.Asia in Taiwan actually just happened on that day. There are some speakers from Taiwan join the Vietnam events, and during the tour we talk about why not we have a GNOME.Asia in Taiwan. So it's happened just during the talk, during the tour. And yes, today here we have the COSCUP GNOME.Asia 2010. Yeah, it's really true. So after this conference, we are working to call for host for the next GNOME.Asia in the next year. Poki Lam will talk more about how to host the GNOME.Asia. And after the GNOME.Asia, things GNOME.Asia is just a 2 and 3 days, like 2 days event, like the COSCUP. We need to have some activities continue. So we started the Beijing GNOME users group. This is the birthday cake of the first anniversary of Beijing GNOME users group. And I would like to encourage people here to start a users group. There are lots of good things if you start a users group. Like in the opening, I asked Christians how many people are GNOME users. I see 19% of them raise their hand. So since there are lots of GNOME users here, lots of GNOME developers here, why not have a GNOME users group? It's a bridge between the GNOME community, the GNOME Foundation, and to the local Taiwan communities. There are lots of good points. We have a mission view. You have to think about the location, and the starter group is very satisfying. You will find it's just like organized GNOME.Asia and the COSCUP is very satisfying. And also, there are some tips. And the most important things, you need to meet regularly. We have monthly meeting. Even in the Chinese New Year, 过新年的时候，大部分的人都会回老家，然后就没有很多人在北京。然后于是就是我们不可能找到像现在就是有一个什么这种正式的讲座，但是大家就会在一块儿吃饭。就是你即使没有办法去搞一次很正式的 meeting， 在一块儿吃饭，然后也是很重要的，因为 regular meeting make sure that the group is continue growing. in Beijing's GNOME users group, we have several people take their roles. We have organizers, actually me, and photographers, and websites, people doing websites, and all the people doing marketing. And we have our members to get good speakers. This is our website. It's www.bggag.org. And we have joint meeting. I think I have a joint meeting. It's very interesting. We have hosted the Beijing GNOME Users Group in Google's office, in Sun's office, in Mozilla, Lowell, Intel, and lots of companies who are developing on GNOME. And also we co-host the users group with other users group like Beijing Open Source User Group, Beijing Linux User Group, and university and also government. In the left, the man who is lying down is a very famous person. He changed his name. His name is Wang Kaiyuan. He changed his name to open source. And this is me and Pocky, because I am working on the GNOME users group, and Pocky was the president of the Beijing Linux user group, so we have joined the meeting. We also have the Install Fest. When the GNOME have some major release, we will organize some Install Fest. Actually, Pocky, she organized the Women's Install Fest just on the March 8th. 就是妇女节的时候，她 organized the Girls Install Fest. And there are, in our users group, people are really do projects. For example, this is a Google talk on Linux. Our members implement a Google Talk client on Linux, and this was accepted by the Google Developer Days conference. He did a demo in the conference. When I give this presentation in GUADEC, one people from Google is very interested in it. After the meeting, he talked to me, why not have the translation plug-in for the Google Talk? For example, when we chatting in the IRC, lots of people are chatting in English. Why not have a plug-in? You have the Google Translation service. You just need a plug-in to implement it. So I think the new ideas are created just when you talk with people. And I think my job later is when I go back to Beijing, I will talk to this author and think about create a new plugin for Google Translator for Google Talk. Also, we have students do Google Summer of Code. I want to ask how many people here do Google Summer of Code project? Raise your hand. Do you have ever participated or heard about Google Summer of Code? I think that's a very good chance that you can participate in the open source, in the free software development, because I'm not promoting Google, but this is a very good opportunities for you. Google provide about $5,000 US to sponsor students to work on the projects. Every year they call for students to work on this, and most of the people are based in US, and currently the Google Summer of Code participants are in Asia. They are raising, the number of the Asian people participating in Google Summer is raising. And this is our student who just joined the Beijing GNOME users group. And he asked me, he said, Emily, I want to do the Google Summer of Code. I said, okay, here are the resources. Here is people you can find. Here is the timeline of the Google Summer of Code schedule. So if you really want to do the Google Summer of Code, you need to do preparation. You need to write a very good proposal. I think the community is that you cannot force the student to do the Google Summer of project. You just tell them, here is a process. Here is the way we can help you, and you will discover by yourself. We also have some activities like a logo contest. When we call for the logos, there are all the logos from our members. I will talk about our future plan of the Beijing GNOME users group. We're planning to launch GNOME Store in Beijing. And also, I want to make people aware of the Friend of GNOME, because GNOME Foundation is a charity foundation. all the money I raised are given by company and the individual people who want to donate to GNOME Foundation, and we need to find out a better way to contribute to the friend of GNOME project, like how do we pay, how to give the money to foundation, like PayPal or some other ways. Our more plans is access to more universities and include new foundation members, and also promote projects like Google Summer of Code and women programs. There are also some other ideas. It's pretty much what I was going to talk about. I want to emphasize that GNOME is a community that's made of the people. And this is a history. In 2008, we are in Beijing. 2009, we are in Ho-Chi-Minh. And today, we are in Taipei. And the next year, we really want everyone to participate. If you're interested to going, prepare, and talk to us earlier, and go to the next GNOME.Asia Summit. And also, Pocky later will talk about how to organize the GNOME.Asia Summit in your country. So I will give my time to Pocky, and if you have any questions, I will come here later to join the Q&A.
Thank you, Emily.
直接接上去咯。可以吗？可以，那大家欢迎一下 Pocky。
Thank you. Let me open my slide. So Emily just now, she already talked a lot of things about joining GNOME.Asia, which is really fun. So I'm going to talk about hosting GNOME.Asia is also really fun. So first, I will talk about what's fun, what fun will it be, and then why is it useful, and then I will also talk about what does it take to host GNOME.Asia, and then the process. For the process, I will talk really quick, and then what's the communication channels for GNOME.Asia, and then our future plan. So why is it fun? So I think it's like joining a conference, especially an international conference, is really fun because we always can meet passionate people. It's like we meet a lot of international speakers from all over the world, so we can talk about something in common because we are all into free software or all into GNOME or a lot of different free software projects. And we can also, make contacts with a lot of communities. It's like today I met, these 2 days, actually I met a lot of communities like Open Foundry, like Study Area. I learned about, local communities like COSCUP, like Ubuntu Taiwan, OpenSUSE, and so on. So I think, it's always nice. It's like I'm the committee member of GNOME.Asia, and I was also the president of Beijing Linux user group. And as a community leader or member, basically it's always nice to share ideas and to share how we run our communities and how to attract more people to share ideas with each other, which is really fun for me. And of course, to host GNOME.Asia, I think it's really very excited to also discover the new GNOME technology. It's like this morning, because I never really look into GNOME 3, but this morning I learned a lot, from, for example, from Brian. I find out actually there will be a lot of new features coming, even though it's postponed, the new release, but we are looking forward to the new technologies. So at the same time, I think, especially for myself, it's like during these 3 years, I access to a lot of very cool gadgets from GNOME.Asia. I remember in 2008 in Beijing, I even was very lucky to win a lucky draw, which is a Linux mobile phone from Motorola. And at the same time, because at that moment Nokia was also the sponsor, and we talked to one of the developer from Finland, and he donated one N96. Sorry. 800. Yeah, 800 and N800, right? He donated this cool machine to our Linux user group. So because for Linux user group, we have a library and we can just put it inside and then we just share it with all our members. At that moment in China, we don't have this mobile phone selling in China yet. And at the same time, I think it's like international events. As Emily said, we have a lot of participants. So I think it's really excited and at the same time very happy to achieve something which is like to host such a big international event. And of course, I I think this part is really fun because it's like a lot of people always say IT free and open source, we lack women, and we always talk. This is a very hot topic. It's like a lot of foundations, a lot of communities. They are eager to look for women to participate in their communities, but in GNOME.Asia, actually, I work with a lot of women. It's like the executive director of GNOME is Stormy Peters, yeah, and she's a woman. And Emily and myself, we are the lead organizer for GNOME.Asia. We're women. And last year, the local team organizer is also a woman, which is you can see from the left picture, the first one. So I think and last year we have a lot of women participated in as volunteers. They do translation. They did a lot of things. They can be very good for the GNOME community as well. So I found it really fun to work with them. So it's very fun to host GNOME.Asia, and I think it's also very useful. So I think to host GNOME.Asia in your local area, it has a lot of benefits for yourself. For example, you can contribute to your community. No matter what community you are in, it can be Ubuntu, it can be anything in Linux user group. But it's like you can bring international speakers to the local area to help you to build more knowledge, to help you to share ideas, and this is really good for your community. And at the same time, you can also help to promote free software in your area, because it's like it's an international event. You can always get some press or get some government attention. It's like last year in Vietnam, we get to meet the educational and technology departments from the government, and we talk about actually they have been thinking to migrate to use for all the offices, all the government offices, to use free software. And we were talking about how GNOME can help them as well. So it's really useful for the country or for the city. And of course, for local team, basically it's also good to have the experience to host an international event as well. Because you get to have foreign speakers, because actually there are lots of logistics. If you host an international event, it's like a lot of things. Later I will touch a little bit. And of course, for GNOME, I think it's really good. It's really useful because you can kickstart new user groups. For example, we've been talking about starting a GNOME user group in Taiwan, and we saw a lot of passionate people. They have very, very good ideas. And I think, it's like a lot of new projects will be started because of this. Because, we never met before. Actually, they never knew about it. And now they will start to think about it. And the next step, they will just do it with our help. And I think, for the GNOME.Asia, basically, the main goal is to also to build a bridge to communicate with the international GNOME community. Because a lot of people actually they're using GNOME, but they don't know how to contribute. So basically here, if you see a lot of GNOME people, and actually they all now they know each other, and they can start to talk about how to contribute. So. To host GNOME.Asia is very fun and useful. So what does it take to host GNOME.Asia? Actually, it's not difficult. first, I think this is the key point, which is you have to share the same goals with GNOME.Asia. And you know, our goals basically is to have a better reach to have a better reach in different country, and to help GNOME to reach more people, to reach the local governments or businesses and also communities, to get more contributors for the GNOME project. And of course it has to be in Asia, and to have a small team of GNOME or Fox advocates, because you know one person is very difficult. For example, COSCUP, they help us to organize, co-host the event. They have a lot of manpower. And of course, the area should have existing or potential GNOME users or developers. Because you know, GNOME.Asia is also like GODEC. We want it to be like a meeting point for different developers to communicate with each other, to share ideas. And the area has to have infrastructure in place. For example, venue, you have to have the venue to do it. The transportation, is it close to the airport, and so on. And it would be good if you have local company support, because you know it's important to have budget in order to host the event. You know, it costs a bit of money. And the last important thing is passion. If you have passion, actually everything you can do it. It's like a lot of time, a lot of people told me they don't have the time to do it. But actually time is about priority. Who has time, you know? So I think I prioritize free software very high, because I think it can help to create a better world. So I prioritize my time to do it. So I think you all can do it. So ready to host GNOME.Asia. I will make it really quick. Now is 5, so we still have 30 minutes, right? So basically, there are like 4 stages. Very easy, you know, the points are all here. Actually, we have a very detailed how-to and checklist in the GNOME.Asia website, GNOME.Asia. So the whole how-to and checklist is there already. So early stage is the first thing is call for host. Just now, Emily talked about it. And every year in about February or March, we will send out invitations to different countries to call for some proposals to host the next GNOME.Asia. And the first thing is this one, and then we will confirm. We will look at the proposals, and then depends on whether it meets the requirements. We will confirm one of them, and then announce it. And then we will need to finalize the dates, the venue, and the theme. And of course, we need to build and localize the website contents. Depends, you know, if the local area needs, if it is not English, you might need to localize it. And then we need to estimate the budget, and then call for sponsors and call for papers. And then 1 month before the summit, we need to confirm the master of ceremony. This year, very nice. We have 4 volunteers. To help to host the talks, and we need to also confirm the sponsors, the budget, schedule, and so on, and of course, you know, plan to organize the events. And on-site management, I think COSCUP does a good job. So you know, more or less all here is like we have already science tags. Good electricity, Wi-Fi. The first day was not very good, but the second day is really excellent, and so on. All these, and I think one thing is very important. We should have a opinion board. It's like the video Emily showed at last. Basically, it's good to have a board. It's a hate and love board, so you can get feedback from everybody to see, you know, how the audience feel about it. So this is one thing. Maybe it's not too late to add it now, right? So right after the event, of course it's not finished. It's not because the event will be finished at 6 and it's finished. We need to do a lot of follow-ups, like update the website to report about the event. We need to talk to press to send out press release. Because an event, no matter how big it is, even though it's like 1,000 or 2,000 people, you can only reach 1,000, 2,000 people. So it's very important to send out the messages to mass, to everybody to know about the event. And of course, we need to upload all the presentations, pictures, follow up with the sponsors, and to encourage speakers and participants to blog about it or tag about it or upload their pictures and tag about it. And the most important, no, it's not the most. The last thing is we need to also put down some experience or notes in the how-to and checklist. So we build experience according to each year, basically. So it's good that COSCUP or GNOME.Asia committee, usually on the last day we will have an internal board meeting. So we can talk about what we learn from the events and then put it down in the how-to and checklist. So we can improve next year. So for the communication channels, how, it's like us, we are the committee member, and every year, because we host in different countries, so it's not like we can be everywhere. So it's important to communicate between the committee and the local team. So we have a few channels. One is the ILC. Through ILC, we have a weekly and bi-weekly meeting. And the second one is the mailing list. We use mailing lists to talk about things. And of course, for local organizers, like COSCUP this year, they have face-to-face meeting all the time. And then for website is GNOME.Asia, basically. Everything, we'll put it down there.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is the board mailing, the committee mailing list, right? This
yes.
is not
actually.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
So this is this is for organizers. It's not for people who are just okay.
So actually, we are planning to have to host another mailing list and ILC channel. Because it's like more and more we have a lot of users or developers. They're not really interested in hosting the events, the GNOME.Asia. However, they want to participate. They want to get support with about GNOME, and they want to also communicate with the board member or committee member. So we are planning to also setting up another IRC channel and mailing list. And once it's set up, I think it will be in like 1-2 weeks we can set it up, right? Yeah, and then we will put the new channel and the new mailing list in our GNOME.Asia website for everybody who is interested in it to join us. So what's next? I think if you're interested in hosting GNOME.Asia next year, or if you're interested in knowing more about how to contribute to GNOME, you should talk to the committee members. Like a lot of them, they are here already. And you of course, you have to read the checklist and how-to. This is the link. Once you go to the website, you go to about GNOME.Asia, and you will find the checklist and how-to. And next year, of course, you have plenty of time to prepare, and then you can just submit your proposal. Or, of course, if you don't want to host it alone, or you cannot host it, you can help us to spread the word. Because it's not like we have free software projects. We don't have money to do marketing or put advertising or TV commercial. So all our marketing is through word of mouth. So we need you to help us to talk to your friends or talk to anybody that to help us to spread the word. And of course, we hope to see you next year. As Emily said just now, basically, if you cannot host the event or you just need to contribute to GNOME, and always you can join our events, and you're very welcome. Thank you.
谢谢 Pocky 还有 Emily。那不知道各位对GNOME.Asia 有没有什么建议，或者是想要询问他们？根据他们可能主要分享的是在如何参与GNOME.Asia 的活动。那如果你对GNOME.Asia 也有想要说一起参与一下，或者想要了解他们现在运作的状况，都可以在现在跟他们做一个互动的动作。
其实有另外一个就是那个 local 的那个 GNOME user group 有问题也可以问。
我觉得有2个 topic， 一个是那个 GNOME.Asia， 一个是 GNOME users group。For the GNOME.Asia, if you have any questions, you can ask in English. And for the local GNOME users group, 我们可以说中文。就现在我们有足够的时间，可能20分钟。我希望就是我们变成一个 BOF， 因为我觉得今天到场的人都是对那个 GNOME 社区或者 GNOME.Asia 感兴趣的人，就是欢迎大家，就说你们有什么想法，就说多交流一下。我们希望变成一个 BOF。 Hi, Chen.
I've got a question about international engagement and participation. How can international organizations like, let's say, Open Invention Network help support Asian communities like GNOME.Asia? What type of interaction specifically are you looking for? Are you looking for purely sponsorship, or do you also want to build channels to communicate back and forth?
So Open Convention, is it a company?
Yeah, Open Invention Network is a company.
Actually, every year we are looking for sponsors. If you want to join the events, you know, as a company, you can always sponsor us. We will contact you definitely.
I think GNOME.Asia is like a platform. We are trying to make an Asian community based on GNOME. If your company is working on GNOME or related to GNOME, and it's a good platform, it's a good community there. Like the sponsors for the COSCUP GNOME.Asia this year, there are lots of the sponsors because this is a good platform to gather all the talented people here. They can do the advertisement, they can do the marketing, they can hire people here, they can demonstrate the latest technology of their company. I think it's a good opportunities for company to considering sponsor us. And I think GNOME.Asia is trying to build a good platform for those companies in Asia.
Does this answer your question, Shane?
Yes.
Does your company have anything else to offer actually? Because so far our relationship with company has been through sponsorship, but
yeah, we'll welcome any suggestion.
Well, what I was interested in was also whether you were looking at establishing methods for people to better understand the situation in Asia, specifically challenges that the GNOME community in Asia is facing, and to communicate those to international organizations, and whether you also provide channels outside of the direct event to pass international knowledge into Asian community groups.
Yeah, I think that at least looking at GNOME.Asia at the moment, I think it's a bit early. There's probably some development. I mean, we as an organization need to mature and probably build that Asian community to know more about GNOME users and GNOME developers in Asia, which right now is not really the case. We are isolated people or groups. Well, there's a group in Beijing, but that's about it. And as Brian was mentioning, there's never been any GNOME Hackfest neither in Asia. So we are really trying to build this user base, this group that exists is here. The people are here. They just don't know they exist. And I think that once we have reached the stage where we feel we have an Asian community, which means we'll have members at least in 5 to 10 Asian countries, then maybe we can look at maybe providing statistics or information or feedback or seeing as a real community. But right now, I don't think we are there yet.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying.
You're welcome.
有没有其他的comment建议啊，或者是什么想要跟大家聊聊分享的？我觉得这是既然是讲者希望把它弄成像 BOF 一样，就是希望大家互相多交流，来交个朋友嘛。
有问题吗？其实我如果我可以说几句。基本上我because I'm going to talk about the local GNOME user group and Hackfacts for Taiwan, so I will speak in Chinese. 其实这2天我跟你们的 community 的人，比如说 Max， 比如说Ernest， 还有就是 Open Foundry 的人，有就是聊过。基本上在台湾，在台北，其实我们可以怎么去把那个用户组或者是一些新的 GNOME projects 在台湾做起来。其实他们都有很多很多建议。比如说Max， 你可以说几句，你有几个建议对吗？然后 Ernest 你也说几句，我记得你有建议的，为什么现在就 silence 呢？
We just listen.
因为你提过就是 translation 可以做，对吗？还有一个就是 involvement， 怎么去 involve， 怎么去找人 sponsor， 就是 contribute easy to contribute， 你可以做一个网页，对吗？其实这些我觉得很好的建议。
对，我觉得其实要组织一个 user group， 我觉得 translation 跟 localize 很重要。因为为什么？我觉得要形成一个 local group， 一个很大的重点就是，我觉得要消弭那个 gap。就是你从一个 beginner， 你只是一个 user， 你要 contribute 到这个 group， 你中间会有一个 gap。那这个 gap 是什么呢？比如说像我们在 maintain 的那个 open source 的大使的时候，我们就做了一件事，我们把如何参加 open source 的大使，或如何 join 一些这些像 IRC 或其他这些 step， 我们把它做成 step by step 中英对照的文件。对，然后让他们可以按图索骥，然后呢按表操课一定成功。对，第二件事情我觉得是认同感的问题，所以我们在台湾这边有个 Open Source 的 Weekly News 的translation chain， 然后也是因为这样子，就是有投入在这些翻译的一个新闻上面，或者说这些 grouping 起来的时候呢，其实本地的这些 user 就对不管是说distribution 或者说其他会有一些认同感这样子。那我们希望可以多做一些 label 起来，我们就跟他建议这样子。所以 maybe study area 也许在下个月或下一个月想要去做的就是比如说如何无痛或安装那个我们的 ground share 这样子。对 ，OK， 我们现在都可以办一些活动这样。可是我觉得有一个很大的重点是user 跟 contributor 这边最大的差别是，其实 user 根本不知道，就像今天早上的那个 keynote 一样。user 要去 find some application， 但是前提是他必须要知道这个 application 的 name 跟 functionality。对，所以其实我们需要他们来做一些 guideline， 所以我们可以做什么样的事情这样。
Ernest，
我大概想几个点，像刚刚 Max 提的那个翻译的动作，就是最容易让社群的朋友加入一个新的 community 的最简单的一个任务，然后又可以达到一个效果，把一些外文的资讯翻译到 local 的 community 里面来。所以如果一个 community 新成立的时候 translate 通常是一个很好的 contribution 的方式。那我自己也是这样子走进来 open source 这个领域。那像另外第二点我想分享的就是，我有观察那个 Mozilla Taiwan 这个 community 它的组成，它这个组成因为爸爸是我高中同学，所以我可以很亲近的观察这个 community 的发展的一个过程。那我观察到几个点，第一个，比如说爸爸他就会很注重技术人，或如果单纯分类的话，如果以技术成分来看，这个 Mozilla Taiwan 的 community 不会有太大的技术成分在里面。那鼓励 user 或者 promoter 进来参与这个 community 的活动，这也是一个不错的方式。那像之前会有一些 community， 我自己这样觉得，但不一定是真实的状况，就是有的人会觉得说自己的技术能量不够，然后不敢踏进去。那我觉得我们可以倒过来想，就是我们因为技术能量不够，那我们踏进去反而可以学习更多的东西。那每个人抛出一点东西，那彼此互相脑力激荡，应该是很好的一个学习环境。
我觉得 Ernest 我可以补充几点，就是你说到就是一个 community 里边它有不同 level 的人，比如说有 user 有 developer， 然后针对不同的人，我们要对他们有不同的就是帮助和交流。比如说 user 的话，像你提到那个 localization 或者是一些文档或者一些各种各样的资讯，帮助他更好的使用，比如说使用 GNOME， 然后这个就是针对 user 要做的一些事情。然后针对 developer 的话，其实如果就是你有兴趣，你去做一个 developer 或者 GNOME developer， 那边有很多的GNOME Foundation 有很多的 program， 比如说我刚才说的 Google Summer of Code， 我不知道就是 Google Summer of Code 是不是在台湾就是宣传的不够，反正在北京是很火的，就是学生就申请的特别多。然后那个GNOME Foundation、GNOME Organization 是在 Google Summer of Code 每年是有20个 project， 一个 project 是有$5000的，这个是在全球的一个项目。我觉得希望大家可以从这边开始。 然后第二个就是你如果想当一个 GNOME developer 的话，我们有 mentor program， 就 GNOME 它自己有一个 mentor program， 然后你去那个 website， 你去 Google 里边搜 GNOME mentor program， 你会搜到我们有就是 GNOME 里边比较资深的一些 developer。他们会愿意去带一些新人做，就是我们始终是需要 contributor 去 contribute 的。然后同时就是说，特别我们针对就是 women， 就是女性的话，就是因为在 Google Summer of Code 的竞争特别激烈，然后GNOME 它有一个 Women's Outreach Program， 它针对女性，然后类似于就是说，只要你是女生，你是学生，然后你要做一些项目，然后GNOME Foundation就会有资金去赞助你做。我觉得这些东西它是存在的，只是因为我们交流，就是如果GNOME.Asia它今天没有在台北的话，可能就是这些资讯我们都没有办法传达给大家，所以这也是GNOME.Asia它的意义所在，就是把我们所知道的资源信息传达到就是我们曾经举办过的地方，然后让更多的人理解到，就说我们这儿有一个 GNOME Foundation， 我们这儿有一个 GNOME Community， 然后我们很愿意去帮助你们，就我们有很多的资源，我们很愿意帮助你们。然后就是关于那个GNOME 的那个组成的话，就是首先就是 GNOME 它本身就是一个 community， 它是由人起来的，它是一个 bottom up 的，就是自己向上的，没有人去跟你说你要去做什么，你要去做什么，没有人会这么去跟你说，而是就是下面的人去找到，就说你有一个想法，然后你需要那个GNOME Foundation 的帮忙，你需要GNOME Foundation Board 的支持，你需要就是各种资金或者各种机会，然后你来找我们，跟我们说你需要做什么。我觉得这个是就是我想说的，就是 GNOME Foundation 或者 GNOME Community 它的一个理念，就是它是一个就是说自底向上的这么一个社区。然后我你好。
我提一下一些我的想法好了，跟社群经营是有关系的事情，就是，我觉得不管对任何社群来说好了，我们可以把可能的成员分成2大类，一大类是会自己主动踏进来的人，另外一大类是不会的。会自己主动踏进来那些人，他们无论如何就会自己踏进来了。那所以其实我们在经营社群的时候，比较重心的事情是如何吸引不会自己踏进来那些人。那我想刚刚其实提到Mozilla 台湾这边的这个发展，所讲到就是把里面的人分成所谓的技术的跟不是技术的最主要的，我觉得最重要的地方是在于说，并不是不懂技术的人，他们只是需要帮助而已，而是对于一个社群成员来说，任何人其实都有想要贡献、想要有成就感的那个阶段。那也就是说，其实例如以 Mozilla 来说好了，他们其实有很多的活动来鼓励那些就是完全不会 coding、完全不会技术的成分人，他们也能够 do something， 然后他们也能够获得成就。那就是因为例如说，一个社群可以做的事情，并不是只有把程式写好，或者是说，并不是只有例如说我把文件翻译好这样子而已。包括像是说，其实我刚刚看到你们有提到，就是提出像那个 logo 设计的比赛等等。然后或者是说，我们可以像是 Mozilla 来说好了，他们其实有 create， 就是他们有例如说，他们做一个计划网站，是能够让你把你自己的例如说 extension 兜起来，或者是把你自己的 theme 兜起来，然后你可以 submit， 然后别人就可以轻易的去抓到你 submit 的那个 pack 来用。那也就是说，我们把一个我们去掉技术的门槛那一部分，但是把单纯的创意的这个部分留下来，让有技术就是有技术限制的这些人，他们也能够享受说，我把我的创意贡献出来，而且可以影响到其他人的这个阶段。那这样子其实会鼓励到更多，就是不是专门在玩技术的人，他们也能够来参与这个社群。而我自己则是认为说，任何一套系统，尤其是软体系统来说，就是当人们在使用它，它的价值才会出现。对，我想把这样去想。
对，我觉得你的补充非常好。就是你说的，就是说只有它就是在使用的时候，它的价值才会出现。然后我今天就是看到，就是 COSCUP GNOME.Asia 这个会议上，我觉得有90%人他们都在使用 GNOME。我觉得这就是我们的价值，这就是我们就是今年办 GNOME.Asia， 我们花了这么长时间，然后在2天当中我们看到这么高兴的事情。
分享一个东西好，其实我们主要的。就把自己卖了好了。其实我们在缅甸社群其实有个很大的重点是乐趣，然后我们每年都会做一些莫名其妙的事情。那各位看到 现在左边、右边两个就是我，右边就是我，左边就是目前另外主持人丽书这样子。然后这是我们在2008年在做 Embedded 的群益会的拍的影片。大家看得出那个是我们的主持人了吧？我还有更惨痛的。
一个给GNOME的。
我们每年都会做一些莫名其妙。请注意右边那个是我。
最近社会上出现一个神秘的网中人团体 SA， 先来问看为什么他们要加入这个网中人 SA 呢？
然后另外一个在外面。所以我们每年做一些莫名其妙。去年的时候我们打太鼓嘛，然后前年的时候好像是跳舞，然后我们觉得每年都把摄影办得像音乐节目那样子，但我们觉得很开心这样。然后我们去年很开心，就是我们大概每年都想一些莫名其妙，所以我们去年大概在 promote 活动的时候，就每天大概是一个 video， 然后大家会想一些，对。然后我去年很开心的是，我刚好去日本的时候，刚好我们要 promote 那个活动。
Hello， 各位 SA 伙伴，大家好。
还不错，是我们在去年的时候还变比较瘦一点，然后就，前面可以滤掉。
这个是日本的 Windows 77层华宝，
所以我就在日本做了一件事，就是挑战他的 Windows 7的华宝，然后
拼命一下。
好险我还可以活着回来的。
如果我还回得到台湾的话，各位10月28号一定要来。
所以，
今晚，就要刚变落去啊。
OK， 我承认我很废话。
Windows 7华宝7展，今年2009年酷学园学园季11月28号一定要来哦。せーの。
OK， 大概是这样。其实我觉得要成立一个社群，其实有时候，我们其实没有特别想要去做什么样的事情，只是我们每年可以做一些 event， 然后呢，可以去想一些 idea， 然后用不同 idea， 然后每年去用不同的表现方式，然后我们就很好玩。像我们在去年办的群音乐的时候呢，我们到其他 community， 像到国家公文中心，他们最大印象是，我们只能花很多时间在练太鼓。然后再做一些莫名其妙的事情，不然就扮得很奇怪的装扮，然后跳什么花朵舞之类的。可是很开心的就是因为这样的方式，可以把很多这个 connect 在一起，这样子。我就说也许是个参考。
谢谢你的分享 ，Max。
我想要补充一下 Max 讲的哦，就是因为我也参与到这几个活动，其实就是刚刚你提到的 ，it's fun。对，就是有趣。那可能我们没有什么技术含量，但是我们推广了一个活动。那这些活动，请那些有技术含量的过来做一个 presentation。那我们可能把自己当做公关好了，当做是一个 marketing 好了，作为一个 bridge 的动作，那也是一个维系或者是组成一个 community 的一个方式，或者是一个不是那么入流的手段，但是还可以。
其实我觉得 GNOME 基本上有很多 users 已经，还有也不缺developers， 但是当然越多越好，对吗？但是我觉得其实我们这个 project 我们也需要很多做 marketing 做 promotion 的人，或者是 event organization 的人，所以当然呢，尤其是这么fun，当然非常好。
我有一个想法，就是我刚刚看到 video， 就是大家看到那个2008年 GNOME.Asia 的 video， 我觉得它就是很有用，就是它只有2天的活动，但是你做完 video 之后，它的确能持续很长时间，能影响很多人。所以我很想建议，就是那个 COSCUP 的 organizer 在会后就是搜集所有的 video 的视频，然后做一段很精彩的，就是 GNOME.Asia and COSCUP 2010的 video 出来。我希望这个，我很希望能看到这个发生。
我会代为转达。
谢谢。
那个像我们台湾啊，好像就是说像那个Ubuntu啊， 因为我就像跟 Emily 小姐一样，好像我们今天看的只要有安装Ubuntu 的哦，大概9成9都是安装GNOME 嘛。可是现在就有时候就觉得很奇怪，就是说我不知道是GNOME做的太好了，好到大家忘了它的存在，有没有？就是说奇怪，Ubuntu 它可以。其实我觉得，如果Ubuntu没有GNOME的话，它几乎根本好像什么都不是了。可是，在台湾，就是说可能刚好跟北京相差异很大。像我们几乎在台湾，尤其虽然我离开大学生很久了啦，但是我觉得我们大学我们根本大学没有什么 Google Summer Code 啦，就是说这个根本跟大陆可能就是说，因为我就觉得说刚好也是说 Google Summer Code 它是会赞助GNOME。但是他不会去赞助Ubuntu嘛？这好像就两个焦点的啊，所以他们想要参加比赛的人，他们就会很多问题嘛，他们就会创新。可是我们在台湾好像GNOME因为做得太好了，甚至我们在 Windows OS 上面，我们也会用GNOME porting 过来的 software， 也很好用。那几乎就是说，我们几乎说好用到忘了它的存在，根本也不会想说有什么要去 improve。甚至要去 fix 它的什么 bug 这样，这是台湾的一个生态了。我会觉得说，就是说，可能你们久久来台湾一次也不用太 disappoint 这样，或是有点觉得有一点。可是我会觉得说，换一个角度，可能跟 Emily 小姐她讲的就是说，其实看到Ubuntu几乎换一个角度来讲，几乎就是看到GNOME，只是可能少一个像Ubuntu 这样的 key man， 这样一个比较有power 的 keyman， 或是像他们 study area 这个 community 的这样子的 keyman， 他可能会，而且他可能会有一个 difference 啦，他这个 make 一个比较 big 的 difference 在 between Ubuntu 跟GNOME 之间这样。
关于 GNOME 和 Ubuntu 的话，我想它是两个不同的概念。GNOME 是在这儿，Ubuntu 是在这儿。GNOME 是一套框架，它是不会出 distribution 的，就是不会出 release， 不会出 DVD。然后 Ubuntu 是在这儿，它在基于 GNOME 下面，然后做很多东西。然后在下面平行的，除了有 Ubuntu， 然后有 Open Solaris， 有 Fedora， 有各种各样的就是 distribution。所以就说，就是你看你在用 Ubuntu 的时候，其实你看的就是 GNOME， 就是说 GNOME 它其实已经存在了，但是你没有意识到。GNOME 它本身是有一个 community 的，它 community 跟 Ubuntu 是不一样。Ubuntu 它背后是有一个公司，然后他们会出他们的 distribution。GNOME 它只是就是说，它是在技术层面上给大家提供一个框架，同时它还有它的 foundation， 所以它们是两个层面的东西。就是我们不会，就是说我们不会去比较 GNOME community 和 Ubuntu community， 因为它们层次是不一样的，而且它们是融合的。像那个 Colonica 它本身就是 GNOME foundation 的。sponsor， 所以这两个并不矛盾。所以你看到的 Ubuntu 就是看到 GNOME， 只是就是说不同的 distribution 在不同的就是地区，他们有不同的就是说他们的是否流行，这个跟就是说那个公司它在那个地区做的推广有关系。
最后补充一句，其实 GNOME 它就是一个 free， 就是一个自由的一个软件。所以，如果我们所有的工作都是基础于志愿者的，所以我们并不是一个公司，所以我们需要你们的贡献，我们需要你们去参与。谢谢。
I think I mean looking at GNOME and GNOME group and Linux user group or Ubuntu community in Taipei, they even though they look similar, like similar people. They're actually different. I would look at them as focus group. At the Beijing Linux user group, we started with very few members. We had regular meetings in 2002 with 10 people or less, but we were regular. So people would come. And then now, I mean, 8 years later, we have focus group where we even have projects that started as outside of the regular meetings project. Like we had the SFD group, which now is actually SFD China, which is a separate organization. I think the project we have with school project started also within members. We have open hardware meeting. So it could be an existing community who starts a GNOME user group. But I think Taiwan and Taipei is a city big enough to have many communities, many different focuses. And you will find out that actually some people will come at some user group and not at some others or some session. And maybe a Linux or Ubuntu user group we'll have some GNOME user comes once in a while, but they know the focus is not GNOME, so they will not come all the time. Where those people might actually come at a GNOME user group. And the same, I mean, it works also the other way, where maybe people will not always come at GNOME user group meetings, but they might go at every Linux user group meeting or something else. So it's very good. I mean, I think it's important for your community to give them choice. In Beijing now we have meetings. We have 2 or 3 meetings per week. We have Coding for Fun, where we meet once a month to code. And the people, so it's all for the Linux user groups of Beijing, but the people who actually come are different. Like, so we don't see the same members coming for Coding for Fun, or coming to monthly meetings, or coming to open hardware meeting, or coming to our drinking and eating evenings. Sure. So it's really good to be offered to be able to offer to a community a diversity of choices, because this will help you to attract more members, to grow your community and make even more projects. So if you don't feel like doing it as an independent GNOME user group, you can do it as a subcommittee or subgroup of an existing organization. And you will see that little by little it will grow. I know the Phnom Penh Linux user group, where I'm involved as well, because I lived in Cambodia before. They didn't meet. They started maybe 3 years ago, and they were just a mailing list. And then when we went to Cambodia, we started the meeting. So we had the first meeting, and now they meet every week. And the first few meetings, there were 3-4 people after we left. I think the meeting we went, we were 10 people, and there were 3-4 people, and now they're like 15 people going every week. So it's really a matter of just doing it, and you will see that if you do it, like the famous movie, if you build it, they will come. If you do it, actually people will come. You will discover new members from your community that actually you didn't know before and have been contributing already. They were just at home in their mother's garage, hacking on their computers, and they were just waiting for this user group or this activity to exist, to actually come out and talk to people.
谢谢 Fred 我们今天的时间不多，然后我只是想跟大家说，不管是 GNOME User Group、GNOME.Asia， 就是我们在这儿，就是我们都是志愿者，就是本身我也代表 GNOME Foundation 还有 GNOME Community， 就有什么问题就是欢迎跟我们联系，因为这就是我们做那个 GNOME.Asia 做台湾的目的，就是要建立一个社区，建立一个 channel， 跟大家更好的交流，就是 We are here to help you。
那各位还有没有其他意见？没有意见的话，我希望你用一次最热烈的掌声，谢谢讲师，也谢谢你自己在这2天的参与。那现在时间呢，应该已经超过我们原本的规定。我们希望说，如果大家还有时间，那你可以到我们的国际会议厅，参加一个闭幕的活动也欢迎跟各位其他互相的伙伴进行交流。